Okay, so I'm here in TinkerCAD. I've got my my design here that I want to print off. I'm going to have my students rename this screen. So it ends up having some silly name in TinkerCAD, but I really want it to be personalized so I can easily print out this design and find it easily. So I'm going to have it renamed. We've named it Claire's Castle. Now I'm going to go to export, and I'm going to export this design as an STL file. So when I do that, it actually goes right down to the bottom of my screen here. And I'm going to open up this window, and I want to say show in folder. When I do that, so I've got clairescastle.stl, I should have, or you should have, the SD card that came with your printer put into the SD card reader and plugged into the side of your computer. And you are actually going to put that file onto the SD card. So you'll have a little drive right here that says removable drive. I think one of them says none when you plug it in, but it is your removable drive. And all you're going to do is drag it there. So I'm going to pretend that my desktop is where you will be putting yours. I'm on a Windows device, so I can easily do that. But you on a Chromebook will save to the removable drive. So here we go. I'm going to drag it right over to the desktop and drop it in. I'm going to replace that file, and it's loaded. So now I'm going to open my Cubicreator software, and I'm going to say load, and I'm going to go down and find my file. And what you would do is when you say open, you would go down here to where your removable drive is and click on it. And then you're going to click on your castle or whatever file you've done. And it opens right here on the base, and I can move it around. If my shape glows yellow, it means it's actually outside of the plane. So I'm going to make it back into green. And what I need to do is, right now it says this design is shaded. So I'm going to open it up, and I'm going to say sliced. And what I'm looking for is making sure that there are supports being put into place for all of the different components of my castle. So you can see right here, we've got a key. You can see here's our base structure, and we want that to make sure that our structure stands properly. And then I've got some supports here for blocks that are just falling outside of the sturdy components of my structure, and that's fine. Those can easily snap off later, but I can see all of the supports are in. So I'm going to go to print. And the basic settings, I want to make sure that it's on PLA. That's perfect. If you're doing something really fancy for infill, you're going to make it more solid than less solid. I'm going to go into expert setting, and I want to make sure I've got supports on, and yes, everywhere. My base structure right now is a raft. That's going to be a really solid structure that I can snap off. If I don't want it there, I can leave it on if I've got something like a sphere, if I was doing maybe a snowman or something. Doing a skirt is something that just easily rips off, but it's messy and it doesn't look as nice. So always stick with the raft if you can. And when we make sure that we've got our base structure and our support, everything else is fine. And we're going to say download as G-code. Oh, I'm going to escape out of this. And I just want to make sure in my environment setting, I've got the style 210 actually highlighted. So sometimes when you start up, it'll say the single plus. We are using the style. So I'm set. I'm going to go back to print. All of my settings are still set up as they should be. It is a user setting, and I'm going to download as G-code. You are going to save this to that removable drive of yours. I will save mine to the desktop for now, which is fine. You save it to that removable drive so that it's on the SD card. We say save. And then it pops up saying G-code save is completed. This means that it has been translated into the language that the 3D printer will be able to read once you pop in the 3D or the SD card into the side. So the estimated time it's going to take is 3 hours and 23 minutes to do Claire's Castle. The filament cost is going to be 12.25 meters of filament. So try to make sure you know how many meters, how many meters of filament you're going to need for your designs. If it's going to take any more than what you've got, the design just won't finish printing because you're going to run out of filament. The other good thing to know is that the estimated time is 3 hours and 23 minutes because you need to be in the building as long as this printer is printing. If it jams or anything when you are going to be or if it jams with filament at the back when you are not in the classroom, that can wreck the nozzle of the printer, and we want to make sure that all of these printers stay functional so that we can pass them on to somebody else. So make sure that you are constantly in the building. If you check on it every 10 or so minutes, that's pretty good. Send a student just to make sure that the filament is continuously going through and it hasn't caught at the back. It makes like a jerking noise when it does that. So you say okay, you eject your drive from the side of your printer, or the side of your computer. You take it out, you go and you put the SD card into the side of the printer, and you can select on the front screen which file it is that you want to print, and you press OK, and it will print off for you. Hope that works out for everybody. Let me know if you have any questions.